5 things that happen when two people are meant to be together. The invisible pull. Why some people enter your life at exactly the right time. Inspired by the psychological wisdom of Carl Jung. Have you ever met someone and felt that your connection was different from the very beginning? Not just physical attraction, not just excitement, but something much deeper. Almost as if life had, quietly, been preparing both of you for this meeting long before it happened. You can't explain it logically. You simply know that something feels different. Perhaps you've only known each other for a short time, yet conversations flow effortlessly. You feel understood without having to explain yourself. Their presence brings a sense of calm you've rarely experienced before. It feels as though you've come home. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century, believed that life is filled with meaningful coincidences. He called this synchronicity, moments that seem too perfectly timed to be explained by chance alone. He believed that some people enter our lives not by accident, but because our inner journey has prepared us to meet them. Today, we're exploring the first signs that often appear when two people are truly meant to be together. These aren't fairy tales or magical formulas. They're psychological patterns seen again and again in healthy, lasting relationships. But before we begin, can I ask you a small favor? If you're passionate about understanding love, relationships, and the deeper psychology behind human connection, please subscribe to the Love and Relationship Lab. Every subscription helps this channel reach more people searching for healthier, happier relationships. Don't forget to like this video and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our weekly relationship insights. Now, make yourself comfortable and let's begin. Sign number 1. You meet at exactly the time you needed each other. People often believe that love arrives when life is perfect. But real life tells a very different story. The strongest relationships rarely begin when everything is going well. More often, they begin during seasons of change. Maybe you've just come out of a painful breakup. Perhaps you've been carrying loneliness for years. Maybe you've been working on yourself, healing childhood wounds, building confidence, or learning to let go of people who never truly valued you. Then, almost unexpectedly, someone appears, not with fireworks, not with dramatic declarations, but with peace. Carl Jung believed that periods of suffering often become the doorway to transformation. He once suggested that we don't become enlightened by pretending darkness doesn't exist. We become wiser by facing it honestly. Lessons before we're emotionally ready for genuine love. Sometimes heartbreak teaches us self-respect. Sometimes betrayal teaches us discernment. Sometimes loneliness teaches us how to enjoy our own company. Only then are we prepared to recognize someone who brings peace instead of chaos. A real-life experience. Consider the story of Ko. After 12 years of marriage, his wife unexpectedly asked for a divorce. He was devastated. For almost 2 years, he avoided dating. Instead, he focused on becoming a better father, improving his health, and rebuilding his confidence. One Saturday morning, He stopped at a small cafe after finishing a long bike ride. There, he noticed a woman quietly reading a book. Her name was Mackenzie. They exchanged a few polite words about the novel she was reading. Nothing dramatic happened. No movie-like romance. No instant declarations of love. Just an ordinary conversation. A week later, they met again at the same cafe. Then again. Slowly, friendship developed. Months later, they began dating. Several years into their marriage, Ko reflected on that first meeting. He smiled and said, 5 years earlier, I would never have appreciated Mackenzie. Back then, I was chasing excitement instead of peace. I had to become a different man before. Mackenzie later admitted something similar. She had spent years trying to rescue emotionally unavailable partners. Only after learning healthy boundaries did she recognize Ko's quiet consistency as something valuable. Their story wasn't about luck. It was about timing. Growth had prepared both of them. One of the greatest misunderstandings about love is believing that the right person will solve all our problems. Carl Jung would probably disagree. He believed relationships don't exist to complete us. They exist to help us continue becoming who we're meant to become. Healthy love doesn't rescue us from life. It walks beside us through life. When you're healing, your choices change. Think about the relationships you've seen. How many people repeatedly choose partners who hurt them? Psychologists call this repetition. We often recreate familiar emotional patterns because they're comfortable, even when they're unhealthy. Someone who grew up constantly seeking approval may unknowingly chase emotionally distant partners. Someone raised in chaos may mistake emotional drama for passion, but healing changes what feels attractive. Suddenly, kindness becomes beautiful. Reliability becomes exciting. Emotional maturity becomes incredibly attractive. As we grow, we stop chasing intensity. We begin appreciating stability. And that's often when the right person appears. Not because they've suddenly entered the world, but because we're finally able to recognize them. Carl Jung's remarkable insight. Jung believed every human being carries unconscious expectations about love. Without realizing it, we search for qualities that reflect our deepest emotional needs. Sometimes another person awakens parts of ourselves we've never fully explored. They encourage us to become more courageous, more compassionate, more authentic. Not by forcing us to change, but by making us feel safe enough to grow. That's one reason meaningful relationships often feel strangely familiar. It's as though the person isn't introducing something completely new. Instead, they're awakening something that has always been waiting inside us. The difference between need and readiness. Many people say, "I'm ready for love." But are they? There's an important difference between wanting love and being prepared for it. Being prepared means you've begun taking responsibility for your own happiness. It means you've stopped expecting another person to fix your loneliness. It means you're learning to communicate honestly instead of playing games. You're willing to apologize when you're wrong. You're willing to forgive without forgetting your worth. You're willing to grow. That's readiness. And when two emotionally growing people meet, something extraordinary often happens. The relationship becomes a place where both people continue evolving together. Another true story. Relationship therapists often tell the story of a couple named Daniel and Rebecca. Daniel had spent years building his career. Rebecca had spent years caring for her elderly mother. Neither had much time for dating. Friends constantly told them they were running out of time, but neither wanted to settle. At ages 42 and 39, they met through mutual friends. Their relationship didn't begin with overwhelming passion. It began with respect. They listened. They laughed. They supported one another. Today, after more than 20 years together, they're often asked the secret to their marriage. Daniel always gives the same answer. We didn't meet too late. We met exactly when we had become the people we needed to be. Those words beautifully reflect Jung's understanding of human growth. Sometimes life isn't delaying love, it's preparing us for it. Perhaps that's why some relationships feel so different. You don't have to convince the other person to stay. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. There's no exhausting chase, no endless guessing. Instead, there's a quiet feeling that says, this person understands me, not perfectly, but genuinely. And that feeling is incredibly rare, because real connection isn't built on perfect timing. It's built on two people becoming ready at the same time. Sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't finding the right person. It's becoming the right person when they finally arrive. Sign number 2. Their presence brings peace instead of emotional confusion. Think about the happiest couples you know. Chances are, their relationship isn't filled with constant drama. It isn't an endless cycle of breaking up and making up. It isn't built on jealousy, manipulation, or guessing games. Instead, there is something much quieter. There is trust. When you're with the right person, you don't spend your evenings wondering why they haven't replied to your message. You don't keep analyzing every conversation, looking for hidden meanings. You don't feel like you're constantly competing for their attention. Instead, you feel secure. That security doesn't make the relationship boring. It makes it safe. In today's world, many people mistake unpredictability for passion. Movies and social media often tell us that love should feel like an emotional roller coaster. But real love rarely behaves that way. Real love creates stability. A real-life story. Lisa had spent years dating men who were emotionally unavailable. Whenever someone ignored her messages, she wanted them even more. Whenever someone treated her well, she became suspicious. It wasn't because she enjoyed suffering. It was because emotional inconsistency had become familiar. Then she met Andrew. He always called when he said he would. He remembered small details she shared weeks earlier. He apologized when he made mistakes. At first, Lisa thought something was missing. There aren't any butterflies, she told her therapist. Her therapist smiled. Maybe those butterflies were anxiety. Months later, Lisa realized she had never experienced emotional safety before. For the first time in her life, she wasn't wondering whether someone loved her. She simply knew. That certainty allowed their relationship to flourish. Jung believed that much of what attracts us comes from our unconscious mind. Until we become aware of our emotional patterns, we often repeat them. Healing doesn't just change how we feel. It changes who we choose. The right relationship doesn't constantly activate your fears. It slowly quiets them. Peace doesn't mean perfection. Of course, every couple disagrees. Every relationship faces difficult seasons. Being meant for each other doesn't mean never arguing. It means knowing how to return to each other afterward. Healthy couples don't focus on winning arguments. They focus on understanding one another. Instead of asking, "How can I prove I'm right?" they ask, "How can we solve this together?" That's a completely different mindset. Love becomes teamwork instead of competition. The nervous system knows. Psychologists often say our bodies recognize safety before our minds do. Around the wrong person, you may notice constant tension. Your stomach tightens. Your sleep becomes restless. You keep expecting disappointment. Around the right person, your body gradually relaxes. You laugh more easily. You breathe more deeply. You stop feeling like you're walking on eggshells. Without realizing it, your nervous system begins to trust. That feeling cannot be faked. It develops through consistency. Small promises kept. Honest conversations. Reliable actions. Day after day. Sign number 3. They help you become more yourself, not less. One of Carl Jung's greatest ideas was something he called individuation. This was his belief that every human being spends life becoming their truest self. A healthy relationship supports that journey. An unhealthy relationship interrupts it. Sadly, many people shrink themselves to keep someone else's affection. They hide opinions. They stop pursuing dreams. They become quieter, smaller, less authentic, not because anyone explicitly asked them to, but because they are afraid that being fully themselves might cost them love. Real love asks for the opposite. It gives you room to grow. The right person doesn't fear your success. They celebrate it. They don't compete with your dreams. They encourage them. A true story. Marin always wanted to become a teacher, but several people in his life laughed at the idea. It's not prestigious enough, they told him. Eventually, he stopped talking about it. Then, he met Sophia. During one of their first conversations, she asked, "If money wasn't an issue, what would you love doing every day?" Marin quietly admitted his dream. Instead of dismissing it, Sophia encouraged him. She helped him apply for university. She proofread his application essays. She celebrated every small victory. Years later, Marin became one of the most respected teachers in his community. Whenever someone congratulated him, he always smiled and said, "I had the dream. She helped me believe it was possible." That's what healthy love often looks like. Not control, not pressure. Encouragement. Acceptance doesn't mean stagnation. There's an important difference between accepting someone and helping them grow. The right partner doesn't try to redesign your personality. They don't constantly criticize who you are. Instead, they create an environment where growth happens naturally. You become kinder, more patient, more confident. Not because you're trying to impress them, because being loved well changes you. Love becomes sunlight. Growth becomes inevitable. Jung believed every relationship acts like a mirror. Sometimes it reflects our fears. Sometimes it reflects our strengths. The healthiest relationships do both. They lovingly reveal the areas where we still need healing while reminding us of the qualities we've forgotten within ourselves. That's why the right person often sees potential in you long before you see it yourself. Not because they're creating a new version of you. They're helping uncover the person you were always capable of becoming. Many couples spend years searching for someone who makes them feel special. But perhaps the greatest gift is finding someone who makes you feel free. Free to laugh. Free to cry. Free to dream. Free to fail. Free to begin again. That's the kind of freedom that builds lasting love. Sign number 4. Silence feels comfortable, not awkward. One of the strongest signs of emotional intimacy is something many people overlook. You don't always need words. When you're with the right person, silence doesn't feel empty. It feels peaceful. You can take a walk, drive for hours, or simply sit together without feeling the need to fill every moment with conversation. Their presence alone brings comfort. Carl Jung believed that true connection exists beneath words. When two people genuinely understand one another, they don't always need to explain themselves. They simply feel seen, accepted, and safe. A couple married for over 40 years was once asked what kept their relationship strong. The husband smiled and said, "We still enjoy doing nothing together." That simple answer speaks volumes. Real intimacy isn't constant excitement. It's finding joy in simply sharing life. Sign number 5. You inspire each other to grow. When two people are truly meant to be together, they don't hold each other back. They help each other move forward. The relationship inspires both people to become kinder, wiser, healthier, and more confident. You celebrate each other's victories, support each other through challenges, and keep choosing each other even during difficult seasons. Carl Jung believed that love should help us become more complete, not more dependent. The healthiest relationships don't take away your identity, they strengthen it. The right person won't solve all your problems, but they'll remind you that you don't have to face them alone. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, relationships that are meant to last are rarely built on endless excitement or perfect circumstances. They're built on trust, on peace, on mutual respect, on emotional safety, on growth, and on two people who continue choosing one another every single day. If you've found someone who brings some of these qualities into your life, treasure them. And if you haven't yet, don't lose hope. Keep becoming the best version of yourself, because often the right relationship begins when you're ready to recognize it. As Carl Jung wisely said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Perhaps the right person isn't someone who changes who you are. Perhaps they're someone who helps you become who you were always meant to be. Before you go, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If today's message encouraged you or gave you a new perspective on love, please subscribe to the Love and Relationship Lab, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our weekly relationship insights. And if someone came to your mind while watching this video, share it with them. You never know. These words might be exactly what they need today. Which of these 5 signs resonated with you the most? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your stories, and your experience may encourage someone else on their journey. Thank you so much for watching the Love and Relationship Lab. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep growing, and never stop believing in the power of healthy, meaningful love.